Many people experience insecurities about their skin. For some, it's a temporary issue, but for others, it's a lifelong condition that needs proper care. November is globally recognized as Skin Awareness Month, and today we're speaking to someone who's living with albinism. 17-year-old Lilitha Marambana joins us in studio to talk about his challenges, but we also have online Dr. Nobuntu Nkamanda, who joined us from Tata in the Eastern Cape. Thank you very much, Lilitha. Let me start with you. Thank you for coming to studio. First of all, you're 17, in grade 11, still a teenager. Tell me about your journey. Do you still go through incidents where your peers are teasing you about your condition?
No, at this point in my life, I think the people I associate myself with have gotten used to my condition and they treat me as their equal.
Have you ever had to continuously explain to people that you're a normal human being ever in your life?
Not that many times. My friends around me have always been there to defend me. I've never had to face that much discrimination because the people around me who care about me have been there to support me.
Tell me a little bit about when you were growing up. I've had friends who have albinism and they're born in families with, if I could use, normal skin. And they'd go through moments in their lives where they'd ask themselves when they were younger why they're different from everybody else. Did you ever go through that?
Growing up, I have asked myself a few times why I look different from the rest of my family members. Even others who ask me why I look different, the only answer I've ever had for myself is that God chose to make me this way. It was only a few years ago that I found out I had this skin condition called albinism. I never knew about it when I was growing up.
All right, let me bring in Dr. Nkamanda very quickly. Doc, just tell me very quickly, what is the cause of albinism? I think a lot of people don't understand that it's something that some people are actually born with.
That albinism is something that you are born with. So it's an inherited disorder, and it results in little or no production of the pigment melanin. Now, in order for you to actually present with it, to actually have it, both your parents need to either have albinism or to have the gene, because it's a recessive gene. So both mom and dad need to have the gene. Sometimes mom and dad have albinism. Sometimes only one parent has albinism, but the other parent has the gene as well. So that is why then the child then has albinism. And it's something that someone is born with, unlike vitiligo, where you can actually develop it, at a later stage in life. You are literally born with it.
I was about to ask you actually about vitiligo. Some people would say that they only became, they only developed a condition of albinism after developing some vitiligo in some areas of their skin and being too exposed to the sun, etc.
Vitiligo and albinism are different. This is why it's important for everybody to know that albinism you're born with, vitiligo not necessarily. And the cause of albinism is a recessive. It's a disorder. It's an inherited disorder where you've got a glitch, in the genetic makeup of a person. So as I said, both parents need to have this glitch, and then the child will present with it.
Now, obviously you've said that there is a cure for vitiligo, but I'm assuming there's not really a treatment for albinism, or a cure, if people could say that. It's just the way that, avoiding the sun, etc.
Yes, there's absolutely no cure for albinism, but the goal of treatment is then to address the symptoms. As you've mentioned, avoiding the sun. So you need to avoid prolonged exposure to the sun. You need to use your sunscreen with high SPF ratings. You need to cover up completely, with clothing when you're exposed to the sun. You need to wear sunglasses that protect you from the UV, that have UV protection. And then also, we're talking about the skin, we're talking about the eyes. And the reason we're talking about the skin and the eyes is because melanin, this pigment called melanin, it plays a very big role in the development of certain optical nerves. These are now nerves of the eyes. So generally, all forms of albinism will cause problems, with the eye. So this is why the skin and the eye, it's very important to take care of them. And, with the eye, sometimes they develop refractory problems of the eye and they need glasses. So it's important for someone with albinism to follow up with an eye doctor, an ophthalmologist, just to have regular checkups to see if the eyes are still okay. And they also need to have regular checkups with a dermatologist just to see, because this exposure to the sun can cause certain lesions or cancers of the skin. So generally, you need to just follow up on the skin just to see if there's anything new that's growing on the skin, so that you can just handle it whilst it's still fresh and still new.
And very quickly, Doctor, parents and communities, how do they get involved in albinism awareness? I mean, we've heard stories, when I was growing up, where, kids with albinism would be hidden from the community because of threats of killing them, etc., especially in rural areas. So how do we get involved in making people aware that people living with albinism are people just like every one of us?
Yes. So I think, like what we're doing now, talking about it. We need to talk about it. Lilitha needs to go out there and talk about it. Lilitha's mom needs to talk. We need to talk about this condition so that we can decrease the stigma of it. And, the more knowledge that's out there, people are going to realize that this is just a genetic disorder like any other genetic disorder. And the nice thing about albinism is that the prognosis, meaning the outcome or the outlook of it, I don't know how to put it, but the prognosis is very good, because these are normal people who just have a genetic problem with the skin, the eyes, etc. So I think it's just about talking about it. Yeah, and also just making, people aware that if they do have it, the clinics are available. I know in the Eastern Cape, for instance, unlike in the private sector, in the public sector, these people with albinism actually have access to sunscreens, and they get it from the hospital. So clinics need to refer them to the hospital, but the biggest thing is we need to talk about it.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Let me go back to Lilitha. Lilitha, hearing the doctor talk about needing glasses, I see you wear eyeglasses, so I'm assuming she was right in your case, for instance. But I want you to tell me what you'd say to young people today, kids younger than you who have the same condition and are probably being treated badly and are not as lucky as you to have friends who protect them.
The only advice I could give you is that you can't deal with this alone. I myself know that if I didn't have my friends and family around me, I would not have been able to get to where I am today. You need to find someone who can support you. If you're facing any problems at school, you need to go to your teachers, find someone you can approach. You can't deal with this alone. There needs to be people there to support you. A support system can really help build a person. There are things in life we can't go through alone.
Let me ask you not to touch your mic so that the people hear this important message from you. You can continue.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's just, I'm basically just saying that you need to have a support group around yourself. You need to surround yourself with people who are comfortable with having you the way you are, who understand that you're a normal human being just like everyone else, who understand that you didn't choose to be born this way. It isn't your fault that you look the way you do, and there's nothing wrong with how you are. First, you need to love yourself, then find others who can love you as well and associate yourself with them. Because we need to support each other in this. We can't go through this alone.
Thank you so much for coming in studio. 17-year-old Lilitha Marambana speaking to us about his condition of albinism. And of course, we also have Dr. Nobuntu Nkumande, who was telling us about how communities can form part of awareness.